As soon as you step onto an airplane, you're greeted with a friendly smile and a hello. But behind the facade of that smile, flight attendants are judging you as soon as you get on an airplane. Today we're going to look at some things every flight attendant will notice about a passenger when they step onto a plane. And we'll also look into why they realize these things. I'm Charlie, and today we're going to look at what flight attendants notice about you in 3 seconds. But before we take off, why not subscribe and press the notification bell too. Coming up first, we have look them in the eye. One Southwest Airlines flight attendant said something she always notices is if people make eye contact with her. She said she's not suspicious when people do, but she does investigate those who don't. Maybe they're scared of flying, or they're feeling nervous for some reason. Or maybe they're just shy or dealing with a personal issue. It's something people won't tell you outright, but a part of her job is making sure everyone on the plane is having a comfortable time. Also, if someone greets them in a really nice way with a smile and eye contact, they're more likely to be upgraded to first class. This does sometimes happen if there's any first class seats still available. Next up is fitness. You may think if you were going to see your doctor or trainer, they would make sure they know how fit you are. But flight attendants are also checking how fit you are when you get on an airplane. One flight attendant said he's always looking for able-bodied passengers who can assist with security problems. For example, if someone tries to hijack the plane, can you jump on them and make sure they stay down? He says he also looks for people who are willing and able to assist in an emergency evacuation. This will be someone traveling alone and in comfortable street clothing. They should also look like they're in above average physical shape. Or maybe you can tell they're an emergency service personnel. 99 times out of 100, no one's going to be called up to help. That's because, thankfully, airplane emergencies are not common. But in a time of crisis, attendants have to know who to turn to. That's why they'll discreetly examine your body when you step on a plane. They will then mentally label you as fit or unfit. Next up is under the weather. This is one critical check every flight attendant does on everyone on the plane. One TUI flight attendant says it's important to check everyone is fit to fly. That's because when the doors are shut and the plane's in the sky, it can be very hard to tackle a medical emergency. Flight attendants are trained in first aid, but not complex medical training. That's why there's the catchphrase, "Is there a doctor on board?" So that's why during boarding, many flight attendants check to make sure no one is sick. Also, airports often have lots of illness. That's because people are coming from all over the world. In a time right now when coronavirus has 80,000 victims, this is crucial. Recently, many planes with coronavirus victims have been put into quarantine, and no flight attendant wants that. Next up is nervous. Another TUI flight attendant says she always checks if anyone is nervous before getting on the plane. Now, that's not necessarily because they're suspicious of you. Instead, it's because they want to make sure everyone is comfortable on the plane. They don't know if someone has a bad fear of flying, or maybe they're just not feeling good for some personal reason. They look out for passengers carrying a medical book, or maybe frantically looking around or nervously playing with a headphone cord. Any of these things may be a sign the person has a fear of flying. Perhaps they want to hijack the plane or do something terrible. That is one of the other reasons flight attendants check for any nervous flyers. Next up is contraband. Everyone knows airports have vigorous checks to make sure no one smuggles anything in. But did you know that TSA fails 95% of the time to stop people smuggling weapons, explosives, or illegal materials? This was found out thanks to an investigation by the DHS. This was found out by a Department of Homeland Security investigation. This means there's still a pretty high chance someone could take something they're not supposed to on a plane. For example, people are known to smuggle their beloved pets onto flights. Sometimes they also smuggle in other things they're not supposed to, for example, weapons or illegal substances. This can put the safety of the flight in jeopardy, and that's why flight attendants always make sure they know what you're taking onto the plane. They won't go through your bags, but if they suspect you, maybe they'll help you with your bags. Then as they do that, they could take a peek inside. They'll also check for lumps under your coat. Maybe under your jacket you're smuggling in money or illegal things. If they see something illegal, they'll call ground crew and you'll be taken off the plane and arrested. Next up is pregnant. Have you ever looked at a woman and thought, is she pregnant or just heavyset? Well, that's what a flight attendant does multiple times a day. Usually after a certain number of weeks, a pregnant woman is legally required to carry a note proving that she's fit to fly. Sometimes people actually do give birth on planes, and usually these births work out pretty fine. After all, flight attendants are trained as to how to help somebody give birth. Also, there's usually one medical professional amongst the many passengers on a plane, but it's safe not to take the risk and make sure you know who is pregnant and who is not. Next up is jewelry. We've already established that flight attendants check out your appearance very carefully, but did you know one of the first things air stewardesses notice is your jewelry? Specifically hanging jewelry and clothing, which could be a safety concern. In the airport, they can also tell where most passengers are heading by the way they're dressed. When you step onto a plane, they'll see if your clothing is flammable. They'll also check if you have any earrings, which could tear a safety slide if you were to evacuate the plane. Coming up next is drunk. One thing many people do before flights is get hammered in an airport bar. One flight attendant said they're trained to make sure they can notice intoxicated or aggressive passengers. They're also trained in basic taekwondo techniques in case of any aggression in the sky. But stopping anyone who's too drunk to get on a plane is their main goal. That's why if you're acting disorderly or really drunk, they will ask you to step off the airplane. It's fine if you have a few beers before your flight and then fall asleep on the plane. But if you come on shouting, swearing and wanting to fight other passengers, that is going to be a big problem. Next up is talkative. This is a small thing, but flight attendants will really notice if you're chatty. One flight attendant for American Airlines says when she says hello to a passenger, if they respond back, she'll think, wow, that person's really nice. She will then make sure to help them with anything if they have the need for it. And if there's any spare places in first class, maybe they'll even bump them up. So when you get on a plane, it really does pay to be nice. But now it's time to make your voice heard. Vote in the poll in the top right corner. Do you have a fear of flying? If you want some more amazing videos, check out my second channel. But as always, thank you for watching. There's some more videos on screen right now you may like. Click the like button if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.